This is the continuation of Luminous by Sokka's First Fangirl on AO3. This is Chapter 10, titled Prince Sidon. Purah hugged Link tightly at the door, her skinny arms wrapped around his waist. It was early in the morning. When Link looked out the window, he could only see a tiny handful of farmers up and about. Most of Hateno's residents were still asleep at this hour. "You get out there and kick that Calamity's butt," Purah said, face pressed against his stomach. "Okay? And promise to visit." Link hugged her and promised. Purah took a deep, shaky breath and let him go. Simon lingered just behind her and gave Link an encouraging smile. Purah took another deep breath, steadier now, and flashed her favorite rock-on pose. "It'll be easy as click-snap," she said, eyes bright with determination. "This time, we'll be the ones surprising Ganon." Link clicked his fingers like she showed him, and her grin grew. Link couldn't help but smile back. Funny, really. Purah had a way of making him feel like this could actually be done. The shrine sensor beeped as Link reached the bottom of the hill. He followed it down an overgrown path, and it grew louder, more insistent. But it was the strangest thing. When he reached the end of the path, there was no shrine. Just a bunch of old statues half buried in the ground. A lot of them were covered in moss. He walked around the little clearing slowly in a circle. The beeping remained loud and insistent. Still no sign of a shrine. Unless it was hidden somehow. Weird, Link thought. For some reason he had a feeling Zelda would say, "How curious." He marked the area with a pin on his map and walked away. Sure, the whole thing made him curious, but Zora's domain was more important. And really, maybe the world was conspiring against him after all. Of course, as soon as he was ready to make a move, things went wrong. It turned out he really did have to watch his back all the time. He was near Calyp's cabin when he saw a traveler walking towards him. Link, walking away from Hateno, the traveler walking towards it. A Hylian man, with a scruffy attempt at a goatee and bushy dark hair. They just passed each other when the other man spoke. Link. Baffled, thrown off, a total idiot, Link stopped. He looked over his shoulder, wondering how the hell another stranger knew him. Not a Sheikah, not anyone from 100 years ago. This man could only be in his 30s at most. How could he possibly recognize Link? The man's bright smile turned into a vicious grin. "There you are, Your Highness," he said, spitting the title like an insult. In a puff of smoke and red paper seals, the man transformed. No longer a simple traveler, he wore a red bodysuit and a white mask, decorated with an upside-down eye. The Sheikah symbol in reverse. Yiga, Link realized, eyes wide. Oh shit. Shit. He could no longer see the man's expression, but he sounded delighted as he pulled a sickle from his belt. 100 years we've searched for you. 100 years you and the damned Sheikah fools have eluded Lord Ganon. No more. Today you die. "Link, run!" Zelda cried. The Yiga charged at him, and Link drew his sword. Their blades clashed, and Link grit his teeth, digging his heels into the ground, keeping his stance. The Yiga growled in frustration, no doubt hoping Link wouldn't react on time. He swiped again, and Link dodged, barely missing the man's quick slash. Link kicked out as hard as he could, landing a solid kick on the Yiga's stomach. The Yiga stumbled back with a breathless gasp, nearly dropping his sickle. I'm not dying here, Link thought. I'm not. Not now. He had to reach Zora's domain. He had to kill Ganon, avenge Mipha, free Zelda. Not today, Link thought, and he was the one to charge forward this time. To the Yiga's credit, he was fast, but Link still managed to slash his arm. The Yiga howled, partly in pain, mostly from sheer anger from the sound of it. "Fucking brat!" he shouted. He raised his sickle in his uninjured arm high above his head and brought it down in a vicious arc, but something threw off his balance. A rock came flying and hit the Yiga right on the temple, causing him to stumble. Startled, Link turned and found Calyp standing just outside his cabin, already stooping down to grab another rock. He was pale, eyes wide, but his expression was grim. You leave that kid alone, he shouted. Growling, distracted, the Yiga marched toward Kalip. The poor guy looked petrified as the Yiga set his sights on him. If you know what's good for you, the Yiga hissed, you'll go back inside, old fool. Link did something very stupid. He ran forward and launched himself on the Yiga, tackling him to the ground, punching every inch of the would-be assassin he could reach. The Yiga let out a rather undignified scream, finally losing his grip on his sickle. Kalip let out a strangled yelp, paling further. He took a hesitant step forward, hand reached out to Link as if to pull him away. Get off! Get off! The Yiga shrieked. Not the hair! How did you know me? Link hissed. He pinned the Yiga down, one hand on the man's neck. His other gripped his sword, prepared to strike. How? The Yiga's mask entirely hid his face, but Link could feel the utter fury radiating off him. Master Koga knows all, he spat. Run and hide all you want, little boy. We'll find you wherever you go. Lord Ganon will yet rule this world. It will be reborn in his image. With that, the Yiga disappeared in another puff of smoke and enchanted seals, leaving Link kneeling in the dirt. The Yiga's sickle was left behind, abandoned on the ground. Son of a bitch! Link shouted. He jumped to his feet. Get back here! You do not want him to come back, Kalip yelled. Goddess kid, are you okay? Truth be told, he was rattled. The Yiga really could disguise themselves as anyone. The traveler disguise had appeared taller and broader than the Yiga had been once the disguise was shed. Even his voice had been different, deeper, with a different accent, more of a drawl. His true voice had been higher pitched. Masters of disguise indeed, and the Yiga had known him, right on sight. How? Link fretted. How did they know me? It would be one thing if Link had done something to attract attention. He'd understand if, for instance, the Yiga tracked him down after freeing a divine beast, or if rumors were floating around, but Link had done nothing of note. Impa would never announce his presence to the world. She'd specifically asked Kato to warn him to be careful and keep his head down for as long as possible. She'd worried that the Sheikah Tower's rising would be enough of a hint, but even then, how did they know what Link looked like so exactly? He didn't like this one bit. You're shivering, Kalip said after a pause. Come on, you need to sit down. Link didn't protest as Kalip led him into the cabin. Kalip looked so awkward to have company, swinging his arms and cracking his knuckles. He all but shoved Link into the single chair in the little cabin and set about making coffee. So expensive these days, he said, but we need a pick-me-up, eh? Thank you, Link said, for helping. Kalip shrugged, sheepish, but maybe a little proud. I wasn't even thinking, he admitted. When the coffee was made, he sat on the edge of his bed. Anyway, what brings you out here, kid? You were with Goril the other day. Wait, no. Let me guess. He looked over Link and suddenly perked up. Aha! You heard about the brilliant Dr. Kalip's research. It just had to see for yourself, Well, that wasn't... Well, that was a turn he didn't expect the conversation to take. No? Kalip looked crestfallen. You must have at least heard of me. I was pretty sheltered until recently, Link said. Sheltered. Sure. In a shrine. Couldn't get more sheltered than that. You're impossible, Zelda said fondly. Her voice sounded fainter, more tired. Are you okay? I think so, Link told her. There was that feeling of a door slamming shut again and silence. Zelda was gone. Oh, I see, Kalip said. He looked reassured. Well, in that case, let me educate you. I've dedicated my life to researching the ancient shrines. In fact, there's one nearby, and I've been researching it day and night. Remember my name, because it's not the last you'll hear of Dr. Kalip, solver of mysteries. He waved a finger at Link and added sternly, Remember, it's Dr. Kalip. I didn't study my rear off to be called Mr. Kalip. Link nodded. Of course, Dr. Kalip, he said. Hey, it was only polite, right? For a moment, Kalip looked mystified, almost starry-eyed. Dr. Kalip, he whispered. You really called me doctor. And it sounded so natural. Because that's what you said to call you, Link thought, dumbfounded. Was Calyp not a doctor yet? Or just surrounded by people who refused to acknowledge his doctorate? What state was Hyrule's education system even in these days? If so, talk about rotten luck. Well, kid, since you asked, Calyp said, positively preening now, I suppose I could tell you more about my research. I didn't ask, Link thought. Was all he'd managed to say. Calyp pranced over to the desk he'd sat Link down at and grabbed a huge book, bound in cracked leather. A bright orange bookmark stuck out of it, and Calyp flipped to that page. Right away, Link saw the faded illustration of statues. Stout statues, all with the same face. They looked like the ones he'd seen on his way here. When a dark light resides in the cursed statue's eyes, pierce its gaze to purge the seal from the shrine, Calyp read. And they look just like the statues near here, don't they? Of course they do. But how to tell which one is cursed? Well, that I haven't figured out. He gave a rather dramatic sigh. I suppose I could let you help, as a distraction from that awful Yiga. Link said again. Calyp seemed to take that as consent, because he began to gather up an armful of loose papers, notebooks, and the huge leather-bound book. Come on, kid, he cried. To the statues. I really need to go, Link said. You need a distraction, and I need an assistant, Calyp said. I'll pay you. 3,000 rupees for Bolson, Link remembered with a sigh. Okay. He could take 5 minutes to help. He'd take a cursory look at the statues, pretend to be crestfallen, and leave, with or without pay. Preferably with pay. I can try, Link said, standing, but then I need to go home to my family. Maybe they'll let you out more if you tell them you helped a real doctor, Calyp said, leading the way to the statues. Just don't tell them about that Yiga, or they'll never let you out again. Even if he didn't tell Dwarfan about the Yiga encounter, he'd have to tell Impa. At the very least, he'd have to write to her. He couldn't imagine she'd take it well. Impa was having an interesting day. First, a letter arrived from Purah that morning, and Impa couldn't help but laugh as she read it. Impa, you little bitch. You could have warned me. Disregard Simmons' last letter. It's way too polite for you. Fuck you. Love you and miss you, from Purah. Simmons' letter, querying Link's possible arrival in Kakariko, had arrived the very day Link left Kakariko. Impa had stared at it and huffed, torn between amusement and exasperation. She'd admit she was so preoccupied she'd forgotten to notify Purah and Robbie. And well, Link was already heading to Hateno. He'd get there ahead of any letter. So Impa sat back to wait. Purah's letter, such as it was, did not surprise her. Grandmother? Paya spoke up shyly. Is Auntie Purah well? She's furious with me, Impa admitted with another bark of laughter. She'll get over it soon enough. She wrote back a letter of her own. Sister, consider it payback for not writing more often. It wouldn't kill you. Please don't throw any more bombs at that boy. Paya sends her regards. Have you heard from Robbie lately? Last I heard, his son Grant had set out to explore Hyrule. I do hope the lad is careful. And you? How are you faring? How is your research? I trust Simon is a diligent assistant. Nana also sends her regards to you. Neither of her granddaughters are scientists like her, but Lasley and Clary are talented designers. According to Paya, poor Lasley became quite flustered when she met Link. But, more importantly, Link and Paya have found Kotera. I couldn't believe it. She blessed them both. My own granddaughter spent the better part of the day speaking with our village's guardian like they were old friends. I'm so proud of her. Link's training with Kata went well. He even managed to briefly unlock his Triforce of Courage. It was only for a moment, but you should have seen it, Purah. Time slowed down. I could feel the power in the air. The Triforce appeared on his hand, and his eyes flashed gold. It was brief, but magnificent. I'm sure his strength will continue to grow over time. I trust Link is with you by now. Perhaps he has already left. Tell me truthfully, sister. How is he? He still tries so hard to be strong all the time. I just hope he doesn't shut down again, as he did all those years ago. He was convinced it was the kind of strength we needed from him, but it did him more harm than good. You're good with him, better than I ever was. Don't let him shut down again, if you can. I still go and watch Hyrule Castle once a day. Zelda's light still shines. Sometimes I worry it flickers, but I can never be sure if that's just my own fear or if I'm truly seeing it. Can you see it? Stay safe and write more. Don't make me come out there. Sending all my well wishes and love, Impa. Paya took it to the nearest messenger, and Impa reclaimed her usual spot on her pile of pillows. She had visits from Nana, Lasley, Millie, and Steen. As the sun began to set, Coco, bless her dear heart, came in to give Impa a little bouquet of daisies she'd picked for her. They're beautiful, sweet girl, Impa said, and Coco lit up like the stars. As soon as Coco left, Paya returned. Amazingly, there was a trio of Zora in tow. Dorian followed right behind, tense and watching the Zora warily. Grandmother, Paya said, nervously smoothing down her skirt. This is, may I introduce Octave, Arya, and Cadenza of the Zora. They are here on behalf of... The poor child looked more nervous than ever. Of King Dorephan, to seek an audience with you. The trio did not look thrilled to be here. Octave was a towering man with midnight blue scales. Arya was surprisingly petite for a Zora, nearly as petite as dear Mipha had been, with scales of rose pink. Cadenza was tall, as expected, with lavender scales. All three of them looked stern. They wore opal and silver jewelry and boldly dyed sashes, typical of Zora nobility. But those spears on their backs and the swords on their hips weren't just for show. These three were warriors, too. My lord, my ladies, Impa said politely, be welcome. Lady Impa, Octave said stiffly, we come seeking knowledge of Prince Link. A Yiga foot soldier attacked our captain Baz, demanding the prince's whereabouts. Our king asks for your assistance. Paya gave a horrified gasp, hands clasped to her mouth. Dorian paled, eyes wide. A Yiga, Impa repeated, horrified. So soon. But how? How? Had the towers been all the hint they needed? And to make it near Zora's domain so quickly? The Yiga knew. They knew, and now they would be relentless. Oh, some of them could be complete fools, to be sure, but far too many were dangerous, skilled, sharp, and fanatic. They wouldn't rest until Link was dead, until Zelda lost her battle and Ganon destroyed them all. They really believed Ganon would spare them, that they would have a new world. Fools, Impa thought with disgust. Vicious, deluded fools. My lady, Arya prompted. Her voice was gentler than Octave's, but not by much. Your prince was here, Impa announced, hands clasped in her lap. He is well, physically. But I must warn you, his memories have been lost. I have informed him of his marriage to Princess Mipha, and he still wears the silver locket she gave him. He is aware that King Dorephan is waiting for him. And where is his highness now? Cadenza demanded, fists clenched. Hateno village, Impa said, with my sister, Dr. Purra. He required assistance with the Sheikah slate. Hateno, Octave repeated. A flicker of relief crossed his stern face. That is not so far from here. It was also among the safest Hylian settlements, and they all knew it. The Zora exchanged glances, softening somewhat. It was also among the safest Hylian settlements, and they all knew it. The Zora exchanged glances, softening somewhat. I do not know if he has left or will be leaving soon, Impa warned them, but I've instructed him to go to Zora's domain as soon as possible. We thank you, Arya said, less stiff now, for your assistance. We will take it from here, Octave announced. Prince Link is the Zora's responsibility. You needn't concern yourself further. Impa only raised an eyebrow. Did this man just try to forbid her from helping her friend? Oh, you silly boy, she couldn't help but think. We'll see, she said, and Octave glowered at her. Cadenza's eyes narrowed and she spun on her heel, leaving without a farewell. My lady, Octave said coldly, but he inclined his head in farewell. It had to be said. The Zora were very mannerly. Arya sighed and bowed slightly. With that, the Zora trio were gone. That could have gone better, Paya mumbled. That could have gone much worse, Impa countered. Well, I never, Dorian huffed. The disrespect. Oh, old friend, Impa said fondly. I can take a little sass. They can't, they wouldn't really stop Link from visiting, will they? Paya fretted, wringing her hands. They can't do that, can they? My dear, King Dorephan will hardly lock Link away in the palace, Impa said. He won't like it, but the man is wise. He knows what needs to be done. He knows what Link's destiny is. He will not like it, but he won't doom Hyrule and hide Link away. Dorephan knows better than that. His counselors will not like it, but they have no right to imprison Link in his own home. Dorephan has the final say. It would break the poor man's heart, and she knew it. But she also trusted Dorephan would do whatever needed to be done, even if it hurt. Even if his instinct was to hide Link away forever. Wrap him in blankets, lock him in his chambers, and keep watch over him forever. Dorephan would not doom them all. Besides, Impa continued, do you really think Link would allow it? Paya considered it. After a moment, she shook her head. Dorian didn't look convinced, but he returned to his post. Impa requested a new pen and some paper. It seemed she'd have to send another letter to Purah to chase her first. She needed to warn her sister about the Yiga. She was sure the Zora would get there first, but she needed to write to Purah and warn her to be watchful of any suspicious new faces around Hateno. It wasn't likely. The Yiga weren't known for sticking around clouds. But it was the Yiga clan, and you could never be too careful. As luck would have it, Link and the Zora trio just missed each other. Link had read over Calyp's notes and listened to him ramble about the elusive cursed statue when an idea sprang to mind. You always go home when the sun sets, Link pointed out. It says the statue's eye will glow, right? Why not wait and see if they glow when it's dark out? Calyp opened and closed his mouth like a fish, totally shocked by the simple suggestion. But he took it and waited. And, sure enough, the largest statue's eyes shone an eerie purple as soon as the sun disappeared over the horizon. Link struck the statue with an arrow, right between the eyes. The ground shook. Calyp screamed about an earthquake, and a shrine rose from the ground. Oh, Calyp said, ceasing his panicked screams. He cleared his throat and adjusted his shirt collar. I knew that would happen. Sure you did, Link thought, amused. He marched right into the shrine, ignoring Calyp's resumed frightened ramblings. You have done well to reach this shrine, the monk whispered in Link's mind. My name is Urg. In the name of the goddess Hylia, come forward and receive my blessing. There was no puzzle, no enemies to fight. It seemed unlocking the shrine was the trial. Link approached the mummified monk and received the spirit orb. As usual, it shot right into his chest, and he felt a burst of adrenaline. It was a weird feeling, like he'd had too much caffeine. It wasn't a particularly nice feeling. May the goddess smile upon you, Urg said, and disappeared in a shower of blue sparks. When Link exited the shrine, Calyp was pacing and tugging on his hair, rambling to himself. Oh, goddess, what if he dies in there? He was gasping. I can't get in there. What if he can't get out? What have I done? I'm fine, Link said and grinned when Calyp screamed again. Are you crazy? He stomped over and shook Link by the shoulders. That thing could have killed you. It really couldn't. Sorry, Link said anyway. Kalip huffed in exasperation, still a few shades too pale. What was in there? He asked. A bunch of water and a walkway, Link said, and a mummified monk. Water and... a what? Walk me out to Fort Hateno, and I'll explain on the way. He did not want to walk past those guardians by himself. Kalip agreed. He pestered Link with relentless questions during the entire walk to Dueling Peaks stable. He scribbled in one of his notebooks as they walked, balancing his notes precariously as he waved off Link's offer to carry them. They reached the stable without incident. Link had been so distracted answering Kalip that he'd barely noticed the trek through Blatchery Plain. Having company, even dramatic and somewhat demanding company, certainly helped. Well, you were a big help today, kid, Kalip said. I'll be sure to add your name to the dedication page. He paused, apparently realizing he'd never asked Link's name. Oh, what's your name? Link. Oh, like the Hylian champion, Kalip said. The prince. Yup, Link said. Just like that. Kalip bid him farewell, muttering to himself again about the shrine and possible titles for his book on the shrine. Link reclaimed Errol from the stable, thanked them for looking after her, and set off. He had no idea he'd just missed a trio sent by King Dorephan. He'd still been by the shrine when they passed on the main road. But no matter, he also had no idea he'd be among friends soon enough. The road to Zora's domain doesn't support horses, the stable owner, Lawden, told him. Sorry, kid. Oh. Link dropped in disappointment. He'd been traveling all night and half the day at this point. The journey had already been long, even with Errol speeding along. Monster encounters, shrines, and travelers in need of rescue from yet more monsters. It didn't exactly make for an easy journey, and now he'd have to continue without her, making it even longer. He sighed, stroking Errol's mane. Errol, his horse. Named for his sister. All he knew of her was what Zelda's photos of his wedding showed him. He remembered hugging her, but didn't remember her voice. Maybe that would change soon. He climbed off Errol and handed her over to Lawden. A familiar voice cried, Link! Hey, what are the odds? Beetle? Beetle beamed at him, weighed down by his massive pack. Hey, buddy. Hey, Link said. He smiled, unable to help it. You buying or selling? Well, I'm heading to Zora's domain, Link said. Any recommendations? Ooh, let's see. Beetle tapped his chin, nose wrinkling as he thought. The rain is intense there lately. A lot of monsters use shock arrows, so... He fumbled in his pack and pulled out a jar containing a green and yellow dragonfly. Ta-da! An electric darner. Mix this little beauty with some monster parts and it'll make an electro elixir, strengthening you against any electric attacks. You're a goddess, Send, Link told him. He bought the electric darner and sold Beetle some extra mushrooms he had. You're quite the explorer, Beetle said. Going all the way to Zora's domain right now. The roads are super dangerous. I heard rumors the rain is because of their... Oh, what's it called? Divine Beast. The big elephant thing. Vahruta was still under the control of Calamity Ganon. This apparent downpour was because of him, no doubt about it. I'll stop it, Link told himself. I will. Free the 4 divine beasts. Don't fight alone. He bid Beetle farewell, quickly cooked up the electro elixir in the nearby cooking pot, and made a stop to check the nearby shrine, which involved a lot of water and Cryonis use. But at least one of the chests had an ancient core for Purah. And, to his surprise, as he left he spotted another familiar face. Link hurried over to Hestu, lingering under a tree and humming to himself. Hestu had been surprised when Link saw him, and no one else so much as glanced at Hestu. Safe to say, no one saw him, and Link didn't want to look like a maniac by calling out to him. Mr. Hero! Hestu cheered when he saw him. Hi! Shaka Kala, what are you doing here? Going to Zora's domain, Link told him. Oh, you're going home! Hestu nodded sagely, apparently trying to look and sound grown up again. Shaka, me too! At least, I'm trying to. He sighed and waved one of his maracas towards the stable. But I heard that guy with the torch say this is still Central Hyrule, and Korok Forest is way to the north. I've got a lot of walking to do. Me too, Link said with a sympathetic smile. Hey, Mr. Hero, do you have any more Korok seeds? I can enchant your pouch again. Afraid not, buddy. Aw, Shoko, Hetsu sighed. Well, let me know when you find some. Okie dokie? Link agreed. Before he left, Hestu gave him another bone-cracking hug and shook his maracas in a short farewell song. A thought popped to mind, and Link had to ask. Hey, Hestu, what are the Korok seeds made from anyway? Are they gold? Hestu froze. He had no face, but he managed to look embarrassed. Oh, well, you see, they're, Link waited. Hestu stared at him. Oh dear, Hestu said. I, seem to have worn my voice out with singing. Bye-bye, Mr. Hero. He frantically waved Link off, nearly shoving him back towards the path. I don't want to know, do I? Link asked. Probably not, Hestu admitted. Link would leave it at that. Leto had never been so exasperated in his life. You climbed up there, he shouted up at the Sheikah Tower to Groove. What do you mean you can't climb back down? It means I am apparently afraid of heights, Groove screamed back. He rapidly backed away from the edge. You need to come down eventually. I will figure it out. Don't rush me. It's been 4 hours. Tula, floating in the water, giggled. Leto threw her a scowl. Oh, don't you laugh, he huffed. What will Prince Sidon think? He could probably carry Groove down, Tula said with a dreamy smile. Yes, that was her dreaming of Prince Sidon face. Leto knew it well. We're supposed to be looking for a Hylian, Leto reminded her sternly. We are supposed to be looking for Prince Link himself. That had been a shock. Baz had come running, gathering Sidon, Torfu, Leto, Groove, and Tula to inform them a Yiga had attacked him. Leto had been horrified. Torfu wanted to hunt the Yiga down herself, only ceasing in her vows of vengeance when Baz made that fateful announcement. The Yiga are looking for Prince Link, he said. King Dorephan wants you to watch for him and be on your guard. Be especially wary of anyone claiming to be lost or hiding in the shadows. Link? Sidon had repeated, eyes wide. They're looking for Link? Truly? Then is he... Your father believes this means he is awake, Your Highness, Baz confirmed, and Leto had to sit down. Leto had spotted Octave, Arya, and Cadenza leaving, swimming swiftly through the Lanayru wetlands. Baz had mentioned King Dorephan was sending someone to seek Lady Impa. Leto figured they were a decent choice. They certainly wouldn't be as openly hostile and temperamental as some of the elders. He tried to imagine Lord Muzu going to Kakariko, and winced at the very thought. At least those three would mind their manners. Meanwhile, Leto and his friends went back to searching for help. They saw no travelers, no matter how far they went. Tula had wondered about going to the wetland stable and asking for help, either from someone there or asking to be directed to people who could help. She'd gone, but Mr. Lawton, the owner, hadn't been able to help. The other stable hands, she said, were clearly not fighters. The traveling merchants she'd met hadn't been of help either. When asked if they knew any warriors, everyone she met regretfully informed her that they didn't. She came back with a baffling report, though. Apparently, a young man at the stable claimed to have the Master Torch and was proclaiming himself the promised hero. It wasn't Prince Link, she said, her pretty face scrunched up in thought, a little crease between her eyes. He was just some man and clearly no warrior. If he truly thought he was Hylia's chosen because he had a torch, he sounded like a raving madman. Leto was glad she hadn't brought him. Then Groove decided to turn back and climb the mysterious Sheikah Tower, hoping for a better vantage point to spot anyone coming or going. If Prince Link comes this way, I will be the first to see him, he promised. Only now he was cowering far away from the edge and too afraid to climb back down. Leto reminded himself that he loved his friends. Truly, he did. They just made it hard to remember sometimes. Prince Sidon had returned to Inogo Bridge, scaling the lookout tower. It wasn't anywhere near as high as the Sheikah Tower, but still a good vantage point. Torafu decided to scope out the area near the mysterious shrine. And now Tula was daydreaming about Prince Sidon and swimming in circles. She didn't even react when Leto called her name. Tula has left the building, he thought tiredly. For pity's sake, their home was in danger. Varuta was out of control, the Yiga were on the hunt, and their lost prince was somewhere in Hyrule. And yet Groove had discovered a new fear of heights. There were no travelers to be found. Tula was daydreaming, and no one at Wetland Sable was able to help. Leto felt like ripping his scales out. Sighing, he marched away. Time to patrol the area again. Maybe the gods would smile on him and send a warrior after all. Or at least someone who was brave enough to try. The Lanavru wetlands had a lot of mosquitoes, and Link had to keep his hood up. The air was humid, no surprise there, and the air smelled of old moss and fleet lotuses. It was an odd mix. Not bad, necessarily, but odd. All in all, it was actually a nice walk, and the closer he got to the end, the more Link picked up the pace. There were some Lizalfos, and they were a pain to fight, the quick bastards, but it could have been worse. One dropped a yellow-tipped arrow when it died, and Link picked it up curiously. He poked the tip, yelping at the sudden shock running through his hand. Shock arrows. Okay then. Good to know. He slipped it into his quiver with the rest of his arrows, regular, fire, ice, and even some bomb arrows, and wondered where he could buy more of those. There hadn't been any shock arrows in Kakariko or Hateno. He doubted the Zora would stock them. They lived around a bunch of water, right? Water and shock arrows didn't sound like a good mix. Link's pace slowed. No, it didn't sound like a good mix. Unless he was trying to fight an enemy in the water, or a wet enemy, then it could really pack a punch. He smirked to himself and kept going. It was something to keep in mind. He kept half an eye on the Sheikah Tower as he continued. He wondered if he'd be able to spot Zora's domain from up there. Exactly how far was it from here? The marker glowed on his map, but with the map just being an empty blue space, it didn't tell him much. "Oh!" a voice cried from the water. "Excuse me, sir. Mr. Hylian, may I have a moment of your time?" Link turned and found a green Zora man, waving at him from the water. His voice sounded so refined. "Pardon me," the Zora said. "I had to speak with you once I realized you were a Hylian. You see, my people are in grave trouble and we require the assistance of a strong Hylian." Trouble? Was this about Varuta? Link drew nearer, gesturing for the man to continue. "You see, sir, the divine beast." His eyes nearly popped from his head and his jaw dropped. For a moment, he just gaped at Link. Something like awe in his eyes. Link shifted in place uncomfortably, his throat tightening as the man stared. "Sorry," he said slowly. "Are you okay?" "Prince Link," the Zora asked in a hushed whisper, Is it really you?" For a moment, Link tensed. He half expected the Zora to turn into a Yiga, but the man looked near tears. He leapt out of the water quickly, with grace, and landed on his feet as easily as a cat. Just as swiftly as he landed, he fell to one knee, head bowed, and one hand on his heart. "Your Highness," he said, his voice breaking, "it would be my greatest honor to escort you to Prince Sidon. He is just at Inogo Bridge." Sidon. In a flash, Link remembered the small Zora child in the wedding photos. The one Mipha carried and looked at with such pride. The one at Dorofan's side. The child who fell asleep at the banquet table with Errol. Prince Sidon. Mipha's brother. Hylia above. No one had warned Link. Impa and Purah had mentioned Dorofan. Link's whole plan was to go to Zora's domain, to take time to prepare himself and try to think of something to say to Dorofan. But Sidon... Oh, Sidon was here, and Link couldn't remember him, not really, just pictures in the slate. just the knowledge that he was Mifa's brother. I'm not ready, Link thought, panicked. I don't know what to say to him. But the Zora looked at Link with awe, with tears in his bright gold eyes, and Link folded like wet paper. How could he refuse? He couldn't. So Link nodded and gestured for the Zora man to rise. He did, giving Link a wobbly smile. My name is Leto, Your Highness, he said. I understand you may not remember me. Understatement of the century. Leto offered Link his arm. Still reeling, a little baffled by the gesture, Link took it. Leto escorted Link down the road like he was a prince. It felt strange. It felt familiar. When they reached the tower, a woman cried out, Oh, you found a Hylian! How wonderful! Tula, Leto said. The Zora in the water, a pretty shade of pink, beamed at them both, apparently not noticing anything strange. Tula, Leto said again, I present His Highness, Prince Link. What? She screamed. She was out of the water in a flash, kneeling down to see Link's face. Oh, she gasped. Oh, wow. Don't crowd him, Leto warned. I'm fine, Link said. He wondered if that was true. He felt lightheaded. Tula squealed, but she backed up a step, giving Link space. Oh, this is wonderful! Your Highness, Prince Sidon and King Dorphan will be so happy to see you. We were so worried when the Yiga appeared. They were here, Link demanded. They'd already looked for him here? How long had they been looking for him? How long had they known he was awake? Don't worry, Baz beat him, Tula said cheerfully, as if she hadn't dropped horrifying news. The coward fled. We will not allow any harm to come to you, Leto promised. Link was more worried about what the Yiga would do to the domain if they reached it. Before he could think of a response, should he thank Leto, assure him he could handle himself? Another voice called from the tower. You found a Hylian! He found Prince Link! I beg your pardon? A blue Zora peered down, gagged loudly, and disappeared from view again. Turns out Groove is scared of heights, Tula said, still cheerful. It's an honor, Your Grace, Groove shouted down. Please forgive me for not greeting you as you deserve. You see, it turns out I am petrified of heights. Where are your manners? Leto asked, mortified. Both of you. Just dive down, Tula shouted to Groove, totally ignoring Leto. The water's deep enough. I think I would rather die, thank you, Tula, Groove shouted. Fantastic first impressions, both of you, Leto said, rubbing his forehead. I am fetching Torfu and escorting Prince Link to Prince Sidon. Tula, kindly inform me if Groove dies up there. Sure thing, Leto. Tula bowed to Link, beaming. It really is an honor, Your Highness. Thank you, Link said, more like asked, for lack of anything else to say. Leto gave a world-weary sigh and escorted him away. The tower, Link said as they walked away. I need to add it to my slate, for my map. Is it very important? Leto asked. I confess I do not know anything about Sheikah technology. Well, Link bit his lip. Oh, he could see a flash of a blue bridge through the trees. An Ogo bridge, which meant Sidon was there somewhere. But the map... I need the map, he confessed. Leto escorted him back. Tula was still encouraging Groove to dive down, and Link scaled the tower. Tula squeaked, and her loud encouragements died down. Oh, should we really let him do that? Now, you remember protocol? Leto demanded. When Link reached the top, the first thing he saw was Inogo Bridge. He could see a red figure on one of the lookout towers. Sidon. His eyes watered, and he couldn't understand why. Your Highness, Groove gasped, huddled against the terminal. Please, be more careful. It is dangerous being up this high. I'll be careful, Link promised, if only to make Groove relax. The Zora clung to the terminal for dear life, only slightly lifting his head when Link activated the tower. Fascinating, he said as the lights turned from orange to blue. Link could easily climb back down. He offered to let Groove borrow his paraglider, but the poor man gagged again and shook his head. I am perfectly well, Groove promised, a bold-faced lie. In fact, I am quite comfortable up here. I will be down swiftly, Your Grace. Groove gagged again as Link used the paraglider to soar back down to Leto and Tula. He's really not doing well up there, Link told them. I gave him his chance, Tula said with a dainty little sigh, hands on her hips. She began to climb the tower. You go on ahead, Leto. I'll handle old Yellowbelly. What's she going to do? Link asked Leto. Quite possibly push him, Leto admitted, or haul him down over her shoulder. Leto coughed uncomfortably when Link stared at him, perhaps embarrassed to speak so casually to him. Link preferred it. Well then, Leto said, onwards, shall we? He offered his arm again, and Link took it. Torafu is just by the shrine, Leto said. She is quite the fierce warrior. I must ask, is the shrine important too? There have been so many of them appearing lately. The shrine can wait, Link said. Torafu, a black-scaled Zora in silver armor, took one look at them and her eyes widened. Leto escorting Link seemed to be enough of a clue for her, but her eyes widened further when they darted to Link's neck, to the shimmer of his locket, partly hidden by his cloak. As they drew nearer, as she saw his face, she gasped and dropped to one knee like Leto had, laying down her spear. Your Highness, she said in hushed tones, eyes on the ground. Oh, you can stand. Torafu stood, picking up her spear. Her smile was radiant. Prince Sidon is just this way. Please follow me, Your Highness. Leto gave an encouraging smile as Torafu led them to Inogo Bridge. As they got closer, Link could see Sidon better, no longer a red speck in the distance. He was absolutely huge, easily towering even above Leto. His scales were rich red, like Mipha's, and he was wearing silver, opal, and sapphire jewelry engraved with 3 crescent moons back to back, like Link's locket. A whistle was attached to his neck ruff. His head fin resembled a shark's. He was no longer a tiny child, asleep at a banquet table. He was an adult with a spear of his own at his back, a warrior in his own right. Prince Sidon, Torafu called, jubilant. Your Grace, we have wonderful news. I can see that, Prince Sidon called back, laughing. You found a Hylian warrior. Well done, my friends. His voice is deep now, Link thought, nonsensical as it was. Sidon jumped down from the lookout tower. Link jerked forward, the old instinct to try and catch Sidon in the back of his mind, and landed with his arms spread wide in welcome. His teeth were as sharp as a shark's, but his smile was kind. His eyes were like liquid gold, brighter than the sun. Welcome, he cried. I trust my friends have explained our plight. My name is Prince Sidon. May I ask your name, young one? He's older than me now, Link realized. How insane was that? How utterly bizarre. As if in a dream, feeling dizzy, Link stepped forward and pulled his hood down without a word. Sidon's smile faltered, shock swiftly taking over. His arms fell limply to his sides. He stared at Link, and he didn't even seem to be breathing. He looked like he couldn't believe his eyes. Totally stupefied. Frozen like a statue. Link knew the feeling. Prince Sidon, Torafu said gently, I assure you this is... Link? Sidon's voice was a mere whisper, a prayer. Link, is it truly you? For a moment, teary-eyed and hopeful as he was, Sidon looked like a child again, the same child who... Perched on his shoulders, Sidon tucked on Link's hair, pointing towards Veiled Falls, urging him to walk faster. Sidon, Mipha sighed, what have we told you about pulling Link's hair? Sidon sighs. Link couldn't see him, but he swore he could sense the child pouting. Not to, he mumbled. Exactly, Mipha said. You wouldn't want someone pulling your fin, would you? No, Sidon huffed. Link snorted, and Mipha shot him a narrowed-eyed stare, but she was smirking. Don't encourage him, she warned. I won't hurt him, Sidon said. He tugged on Link's hair again, more gently this time, as if to emphasize his point. We know you won't, Link assured him. Mipha sighed, trying to look put out, but when she looked at them, she softened. Sidon giggled, tiny hands still tangled in Link's hair. Zora don't have hair, Sidon informed him, as if Link wasn't well aware of the fact. I know, buddy, Link said, and guess what? What? I think your scales are much cooler than hair. Sidon puffed up with pride, but said, Well, your hair is nice. Like a consolation, not like Goron's. Link? Sidon knelt down and gently took both of his hands. Link, Do you remember me? I used to carry you around on my shoulders, Link said faintly. His heart was pounding. He felt like he was floating. You used to pull on my hair. Yes, Sidon said. A tear rolled down his cheek. Yes, that's right. Fast as lightning, Sidon pulled him into a hug. He clung to Link like he was drowning, and Link found himself clinging back, holding on to this no longer a child, this brother-in-law he barely remembered, the little brother who was so much older and bigger than him now. Sidon wept silently, his tears landing in Link's hair. Link held on tighter, trying to breathe, trying to remind himself this was real. Link, Sidon sobbed again. His hand entirely covered the back of Link's head, his fingers tangling in Link's hair like they used to. Oh, brother, welcome home. Thanks so much to anybody who listens to this. Once again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced some of the Zora's names. I did do my best. As always, I'll leave a link down in the description for the original fic over on AO3. If you liked this, please go leave comments and kudos for the original author over there. I will be back with chapter 11 as soon as I get that done.